Hi everybody, Tal here, and today I want to talk about why finding relationships is so much harder in our times. So I've been talking a lot about love. It's February and it's just a great and important topic. But before we go there, for anybody who doesn't know me yet, my name is Tal Mandelbaum. I'm a social psychologist and I'm also a Kabbalist. I have a very extensive spiritual background and I teach the skills of spiritual connection and how to really open up our potential as human beings, evolve our consciousness, and find out what we can do to really experience life to its fullest and find meaning and answers to all of our deeper questions and basically make our life the successful, harmonious experience, joyful experience that they're meant to be. So today I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to do that inside a relationship and why it is that in our times, finding a relationship to begin with is more difficult. So I want to touch upon two different points. The first point is that we are in a process of evolution, an evolution of our self, of our individuality, or you could say our ego. Because when you look at prehistoric man, the desires people had were pretty simple. It was pretty animalistic. All they were looking for is food, shelter, procreation. That was about it. And the more people evolve, the more humanity evolves, the desire grows. People want more. They're not satisfied with just food and shelter. They want like a tribal way of life with customs and culture and right the makeup and the dancing, and then they want power and they want control, and then they want religion and they want knowledge, and there's this a process of evolution. And if you look a few generations back, life was much more simple in the sense that there are very clear roles in society, in the family. Even when I look at my grandparents, for example, then my grandfather would work most of the day. My grandmother was home cooking, cleaning. That was just the way it was. And obviously, our desire today is not satisfied with that kind of life. But you can still look back and say, whoa, that was more simple. Things were more organized, more certain. People knew, for example, they knew what they're going to be because people would usually take on the career or the job of their parents. So life was more predictable and more, I would say, organized in that sense. Now, another thing that was more predictable and simple was finding love, or I don't think they called it love back then, but rather finding marriage. It was arranged. Often there were villages with a very small pool of options to choose from. And then there was the matchmaker or the parents who would make the decision, and things, they just continued from generation to generation according to very strict rules. Also, people were very similar in their cultures and mentality when they married, and it was very, very different from today. Today, what we see is a much more complex world where we have a sea of opportunities, right? The internet is at our fingertips. We meet people from all over the world with completely different backgrounds and mentalities and cultures. And it's less structured, it's less sheltered. We don't have as much guidance. You just expected to find your partner, just find them somewhere, right? Nobody's actually guiding you or helping you or recommending to you unless you seek that kind of help. But I know from my experience growing up that often I just felt like it was supposed to happen. I don't know, somewhere. I was supposed to go somewhere and meet somebody, whether it was a date or school or university. And I didn't know when or how it would happen. And I remember looking at more religious communities where there were like these infrastructures of connection where they would help each other find the right dates. There was some sort of order and structure to it in the community that supported the family structure, that supported people finding love, that supported people dating and finding the right person, and so on. So in our modern societies, that is really lacking. So that's one reason that it's more difficult for us. And another reason that is also part of it is that our ego, because it's more evolved and more individualized, and we have bigger desires and more desires, then we're also less able to connect with other people who are different from us. It's harder for us. We have more demands, we're more picky, we're more choosy, we are more opinionated. It's harder for us to connect with people who have different opinions and to get along with them. So there's a lot more there that makes connection difficult. And on top of it, it's harder for us to commit. Okay, if you look at these new generations in general, they're less wanting to commit to things than the previous generations that were, like I said, had more predictable lives. They didn't change careers often. They didn't change, they didn't divorce often like we do today. Things were much more set in stone. So today it's much harder for us to commit. So now I'm getting to my second point of what is the silver lining out of all of this? Why is this change, this evolution, even though it seems like it's making things harder for us? Oh, and by the way, I didn't mention COVID and all of the social distancing and why that's making things difficult, but that's on top of it all. But I want to talk a little bit about why this evolution is happening. And even though it's making things harder, why it's actually a good thing. Because as along with making it difficult for us, like I said, it's difficult to commit, difficult to get along, difficult to maintain a relationship over time. What it's doing is it's forcing us to commit to things that hold higher benefit. So it's forcing us to search for the higher benefit in relationship, also in life in general. The more that we are individualized, the more we need a higher purpose to sustain us, to keep us going, because we're not willing to put out a lot of energy, invest a lot of energy in things like the previous generations did, unless it has a greater benefit. That's just the way our inner mechanisms are working right now. So higher purpose is really that element that is missing from our lives if we want to be able to really make relationships work, make our lives work, make our communities, our societies work. We need a higher shared purpose. Now, what does that mean in a relationship? It means, especially if you're single right now, this is really important for you because it means you can use this time that you're still in the search after your partner to really own and identify your deepest desires, your higher purpose, your higher goals in life, and then come into a relationship from that kind of perspective of really knowing who you are and what you want, and also knowing what it is in relationship that can help you develop yourself personally, spiritually, because this is something very huge about relationships, even though we don't always use them that way. They are laboratories for spiritual growth because it's within a relationship that we can really see our ego, our very evolved ego, and learn how to rise above it and learn how to connect and love another above it. And that expands us. It expands us out of the self into connection with others. And that is the root of evolution and where it wants to lead us to. So if you've been looking for a relationship for a really long time and not finding it and feeling frustrated over it, then I believe that's only a sign that nature, spirit, the system that we're all part of is inviting you to go through this process in a more conscious way and to find a relationship when you're really ready for it, when you've achieved enough of your personal awareness, self-awareness, awareness of life and your higher goals, that you can meet a partner with whom you can fulfill these goals together. So the more you know who you are and what you want, the more aligned you will be and the easier it will be for you to find the right relationship for you where you can grow together. Because I really believe that relationships are in our times are not just meant for us to fulfill our basic needs. They're really meant for us to grow together, to discover our souls together, to evolve our awareness, our consciousness, and be able to really perceive and receive, I would say, to receive all the love and all the abundance that is there for us, that really wants to be revealed to us. So that was a little bit about why relationships are more difficult and why it's actually for a very good reason, how to use the negative and turn it into a positive. And if you want some help doing that, if you're single and you're searching and you want to make this a more conscious journey, a more fruitful journey, then you should definitely check out my new course, Finding the One. It's available. There's a link in my bio where you can check it out. Right now it's at an introductory price, a really low price that's really meant to make this as available and accessible to anybody who needs it right now. And I'll tell you just a little bit about the course. It's got this really nice framework to it with 3 different parts: align, become, and attract. The 3 parts of the journey. First, you align, you discern your desire and what you truly deeply want outside of any pressures or external influences. You align with spirit and what spirit wants for you. Then you become love. You become the right partner to attract that partnership, because we need to become what we want to attract into our life. So the second stage is that becoming. And the third stage is all about what to do with the people that you meet, how to date them, what to say and not to say, how to attract them, how to make somebody feel attracted to you. Little tips and practical advice that's really important in dating and really making the right decisions. There's also a part there about how to use your intuition. Also very important, really listen to your heart in this process so that you make the dating process more attuned and more successful and more right for you. Oh, and there's some great bonuses in there as well. There's a bonus on what men and women want, something you want to keep in mind when going out and creating new relationships. And a couple of guided meditations that are going to help you overcome any limiting beliefs, fears, things that are really blocking you from attracting your partner and experiencing the love and happiness that is in your potential to achieve and experience. So the link is in my bio. I'll put it here with the video as well. You're welcome to send me messages to ask any questions, or if you want to chat about it, I am happy to talk to you. And that's it. Leave comments, like this video, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.